Hey guys, welcome back to Ghost and Friends. This is our NFL Talk segment. Welcome back to the channel, Mr. Jonathan Rosenauer. How are you doing, friend?
Yes, sir. Man, well, after tonight we'll see, but for now we're doing well, all considering.
I've definitely thought about you a little bit every day this week as we talked about doing this. Thought about you on Sunday during that 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk first about it. What did you take from Ravens Cowboys? What were the emotions through that one? A little bit of a roller coaster and got pretty silly at the end.
Yeah, and obviously the score looks like it's a closer game than it actually was. And I mean, I hate to say this as a fan, of course, but we just didn't look good. 28-25, it really should have been like the 28-6 it was, or even, 34-35 or beyond. Like the Ravens just had our number the whole game. We did not look good. A lot of emotions. There's some miscues. You can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, winners win and losers lose. It doesn't matter how it happens, whether it's the refs or a fumble or whatever anybody wants to say. Winners win, losers lose. So we lost, and it wasn't pretty. I was not happy, still not happy. And now I'm a little nervous. It's 3 weeks in, but we'll see. So we'll get into some of that, of course, but yeah, I'm not feeling too good right now about my boys. So
Definitely seemed like Baltimore kind of did whatever they wanted in the first half, at least.
oh yeah,
I was pretty nervous as I was rooting for the Ravens there. That fourth quarter being 19-0 Dallas, it got pretty dicey. Got to had a turnover, gave up a bunch of big plays.
yeah,
I feel like you see that at times in the NFL, because I'm not going to say that Dallas offense isn't a good offense. Took them a long time to get going, but at the same time, I kind of a softer defensive coverage scheme from the Ravens kind of almost cost them that one, let it back in.
it's close.
You got to finish games, man. Teams are too good, and
Yep.
momentum's a real thing. They get rolling a little bit, and there's no reason that game should have ever been more than or less than like a 2-score game, but
Yeah,
it got that way.
it wasn't pretty, and for me, my biggest fear is our greatest strength this season is not looking the best. So our defense is struggling. For whatever reason, they ran all over us, quite literally. And it's even worse that it was the guy that everybody thought we were going to pursue this offseason. And now our run game is trash. And the one we should have went after destroyed us. So it's like, rub it in our face. And for me personally, I chose to sit Lamar because I thought Dak was going to outplay him. Technically, on paper, for the league that happened in, it worked out. But I still wasn't confident in how it played. It was a double whammy for me. Still won in fantasy, but my Cowboys lost. So yeah, we're losing in a lot of ways right now. But Dak, this is all I want to say. That's why I'm nervous, but I'm not quite depressed yet. There's been depressing years. I'm not there yet. If you see that clip that's going around, I think it was to a fan maybe, but somebody posted it. They're walking into the locker room, and whatever was said, I don't even know. All we can really make out is Dak saying, "Jump off if you want," or whatever the exact quote was. Essentially, get off the bandwagon, jump off the ship if you're worried about us. That pumped me up. Like, that took me back to like the Aaron Rodgers kind of stuff. Even Tim Tebow way back in college days, like when the quarterback has that iconic moment, and you're like, all right. Now that Dax wasn't nearly as big, but it was like, all right, I'm cool with that. I feel good. Or Kirk, you like that,
Yeah.
So it's a
Well,
little thing, but to me, it's like, let's go.
Was there, and of course I'll get your full thoughts on this. Was there any chance he was talking to CD Lamb right there? Because it seems like some other teammates told him to go ahead and jump off if he wants, and he said he's not going anywhere. So any thoughts or comments on the CD Lamb situation? Because it definitely got a little testy on the sideline there.
It did.
I will say with the caveat that I think CD is incredible and probably rebounds in a big way tonight. But I'll let you share your side.
Yeah, I agree. Short answer, I'm definitely with you. Obviously, hopeful, of course, that happens. We're talking like a 6 touchdown, 300-yard game or something from CD. So
Probably would help a little
that's
bit.
yeah, for sure. But I was thinking about this actually. I dropped off kids at school, driving here, getting ready. It's like I know we're going to talk about it. Like we got to, especially after last week when we talked about some other issues with wide receivers. But with CD, man, I was like, all right, am I being a delusional Cowboys fan in my thought process, or is this just the truth? That passion versus the drama queen kind of balance is tough, especially with receivers, and the Netflix show didn't really help anybody's case with drama queen, so to speak. So I honestly took it as they were underperforming. Everybody knew it. There was a lot of emotions. They struggled last, or yeah, 2 weeks ago, I guess, at this point. So everybody's emotional. CD clearly messed up big time. Whether it was his fault or not doesn't matter. He fumbled. I mean, right there by like you
It's
basically just
definitely his
extend your
fault.
arm. Yeah,
There's no way
like
around that. That's his fault.
yeah. But some people would argue whatever. I'm like, bro, he fumbled. I don't care if it was punched out, peanut style, or if he just dropped it. He fumbled. On the stat sheet,
Yeah.
it goes down as a fumble and a fumble recovery. It's his fault. So I'm with you. So he's emotional about that. They're just not playing well. You got all this money, high expectations. So to me, I didn't take it as the drama queen route, and especially because of how he responded. Gosh, what was it? Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe, when he came out and was apologizing. I didn't see the full quote, but I'll take that. Hey, I messed up. It is what it is, kind of thing. Shouldn't have reacted that way. I'm better than that. Whatever he said, like it's the heat of the moment emotion. I like that. I took it as passion versus drama. And him and Dak, I think it's one of those like brotherly love things. We've all fought with our brothers, and hopefully you come back later the next day and you're good. This past weekend, actually, my brother and I were moving some friends, and we were both clearly frustrated. I wasn't feeling well, and we didn't. We had some moments where like this could get heated and we could lash out at each other, and definitely some things were said like at the situation, but not directed at each other. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like you're angry at the situation, and it just so happens that you're both the stars. So who's going to get taken out on each other? It's them. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the chemistry. I'm not worried about the locker room. Troy Aikman, I just read an article this morning, says there's uneasiness in the locker room. Well, yeah, you're 1-2. Truly looked like this was going to be a heck of a year. Like NFC Championship, Super Bowl type of year. And of course, as a Cowboys fan, saying that every year, but like we look good. A lot of expectations. I'm not worried about that. I don't think there's uneasiness. I think there's some stuff that got to work out. Clearly, like 1-2 is not
Yeah.
good.
You
And
can't have 51 pass attempts if you're Dak Prescott and CD only has 7 targets. I mean, like, I get the frustration. Yeah, I get there is such thing as obviously overreacting, but at the same time, he owned the mistake with their fumble, but I feel like, 51 pass attempts, you have 11 different players catch passes in that game. Feed that man the rock a little bit more, in my opinion.
Sure.
Obviously, he is who he is for a reason. Hard for me to root for CeeDee Lamb. He's a Cowboy, he's a Sooner, but I still think he's fantastic. I don't think there's any doubt that he bounces back. Probably been a pretty big way. 6 touchdowns against the Giants, though, man. You should probably want him to save 1 or 2 for a little further down the line. Not sure you'll need all 6. You might not need 2, but
so real quick on that note, because obviously there's a game tonight and we're playing the Giants, division rival, whatever. This is how my brain works. Okay, we beat the Browns handedly. We looked really good. Okay, and then we got destroyed by the Saints. Well, and then the next week, the Giants beat the Browns, and the Saints lost to the Eagles. So I'm sitting here like, okay, maybe our week 1 win wasn't as good as I thought. And this kind of, roundabout who beats who, and then the joke. You see those jokes like, okay, this team beat that team, and then that team beat the 25th ranked team, the 25th ranked team upset number 4. Number 4 beat number 1, so therefore South Alabama is the best team in college football. Like, it's always in college
Right,
football.
right, right.
It makes me laugh. Like, it's
Yeah,
100% true.
absolutely.
So it's like we beat you, you beat them, they beat Alabama, we're national champs. so so that's kind of the
That's how it
roundabout
works.
way. Like clearly you've got a claim to a title, and put that in your banner or whatever. So I say that with some of the way this roundabout has worked the last few weeks, tonight is a big game. And I hate to say that we're playing the dang Giants. Like, God, this should be an easy
That's okay.
33-15 win or something. But, like, yeah.
It's in my opinion, it's a must-win game for Dallas. There would be mass amounts of panic and frustration if you
Yeah.
somehow lost that one. I get there's a little bit of pressure in this one. I'm not saying that it'll be a game that you struggle with, but hey, if Malik Neighbors looks the way that he did last week, and your secondary looks the way they did last week, it's hard to rule anything out. But I do think Dak has a big game. Actually, a little prop bet action. Dak over 1.5 touchdowns, currently minus 125. I think that's a pretty safe bet tonight. Don't have a run game really. 51 pass attempts last week. You won't see that again on a short week on a Thursday night and stuff, but they have to throw the ball, and you're going to want to get CD, that momentum back going. Jake Ferguson obviously playing again. Kind of like that. I won't be rooting for you to win, but I think I don't think there's a way that you lose. I just can't see it. Let me ask you this now. Does watching the Commanders on Monday night give you a little bit of pause? And as we've talked about Jaden Daniels, and you see that, and you're like, all right, he makes those throws. Nothing, there's no easy win against Washington now. And we kind of talked about that, being exactly. Games that you bank on, really needing to go like 3-1 in that New York and Washington, that little 4-game series. But did you watch Monday night as he took down Joe Burrow? Jamar Chase came back to earth, scored a touchdown. Fun Monday night overall watching those two teams.
Yeah, so the new joke, Joe Burrow, I think he's 0-3. I think they compared him to Ellen DeGeneres because his new look. It's like,
oh no,
you gotta change your style, bro, your hair color and everything. Poor guy. I'm sorry,
Joe,
but you know what you're doing. So yeah, of course, fantasy wise, I have Jaden. I think he's looking good and trending upwards. And I'm a big stats nerd, and so I don't remember the exact numbers, but essentially what he did in college, like his passing to rushing touchdowns and all that, the two previous people that did that had extreme success and are having extreme success in the NFL. And so it's like, all right, the dude's trending well, like he's going to a good situation, kind of this reset. And then, yeah, the Bengals aren't trending in the right direction, so say what you want, it's still a win. Winners win, losers lose. It's a big win. As a Cowboys fan, I'm extremely nervous, especially with how we couldn't stop, Lamar really at all. And then the Ravens run game. So now you've got, Lamar Jr. or whatever you want to say. Like, the dude looks good. He's playing well. The Commanders as a team look like they're having fun. And you know this, playing sports. When you're relaxed, you tend to perform better probably. You're at least going to enjoy it, and there is no uneasiness. So, as a fan, I'm nervous. As a Cowboys fan, but for the Commanders, look, I'm going on record. This is the Redskins. This Commanders junk is trash. Just call them the Redskins. Everybody wants them to be that. That's who they need to be. All the Indian, I think the Black Hawk tribe is like, bring it back. So, put that there. But yeah, they look good, and I don't like what I'm seeing from them compared to us. That 3-1 is not looking so good now against Giants and Commanders. Of course, we have 6 games now. The Eagles, you're looking at a gritty game. I mean, they pulled out that Saints 15-12 win. So just divisionally not looking good. But man, Jaden, he's looking like the real deal. And it doesn't hurt me that it's Dan Quinn, and there's a lot of Cowboys staff on that team. I actually like, hey, go for it. We all knew Dan Quinn was going that route at some point. Like, give it to him. So they're looking good. Love it. He's on my fantasy team, so I love it. But as a Cowboys fan, I'm nervous as hell.
21 to 24 for 254. Not a crazy yards per completion number, but when you're talking about completing that percentage of
Yep.
passes at the highest level of play against a team that not backs against a wall so early in the season, but Cincinnati really, really needed to win in that game. That throw he made, obviously under pressure down the right sideline, was 10 out of 10, a very elite throw, and that obviously caught the attention of a lot of people. But a lot of fun to watch. He used his legs in that game. Obviously, scored a touchdown there. Um, yeah, I did not have them being 2-1, but at the same time, I did like him coming into the year and was kind of curious to see how it all looked. And now all of a sudden, hey, they got a little something to be excited about. And obviously,
Yeah.
Cowboys losing the game, Eagles losing the game, and obviously the Eagles had already lost one prior to that last week. They won last week, but I mean, you get a
That
Cards
was
team
yeah.
next week. You see the Commanders, a little belief going on, and so a lot of
Well, and
energy and hope behind a young quarterback. But it's 3 games into the year. I'm not making any guarantees or promises. Definitely, will be keeping my eye on how it all
yep.
goes. We had a really good ball game with the old Sunday night football. What are your thoughts on Patrick Mahomes? Is he being just kind of bailed out by a really, really dang good Chiefs defense week in and week out? Travis Kelsey kind of seems to have fallen off the planet at the moment.
Yeah. Man, so of course it's hard to beat the refs and another team. That's what everybody wants to say right now. That pass interference, no call on Pitts in the end. Well, that's a whole other thing. And in junior high, I think it was, or high school, there was this coach where I went to high school, and he would say, if you can touch it, you can catch it. So call it pass interference, whatever. And these guys are wearing the stickiest of gloves. They're pros. I'm like, bro, you're telling us this. I don't remember junior high, high school, whatever it was. Like, so professional athlete. I just think of that every time. Of course, there's, the Odell catch with the fingertips. Like, that's ungodly. But, I mean, if you have two hands and, yes, a dude's in your face and all this, sure, pass interference all day, but come on, man. You're a pro. You got to catch that. It's a big time, all this stuff, whatever. It's not like he pushed you
Did he
out.
have a
So
chance to catch that?
to me, I think he
I
did.
thought it hit like the defender's elbow and bounced over. So I don't know. I have to go back. It definitely is a pass interference call.
It should have
It
been.
is weird
That
how it's
that's what I want to
in
say.
live time. I didn't think it was a pass interference call as it slowed down.
Yep.
Definitely can see now you have Chris Collinsworth screaming about how it's a very obvious pass interference call. Like I'm kind of the same way. I was like at first, you grew up in a much more physical era. But yeah, I have to go back and see. I didn't know if he had a chance to catch that. I just hate everything. Obviously, hate everything Atlanta did down the stretch. I don't like going for it on 4th and goal from the what
Yeah.
was it, the 5. I don't like that. You still have 4 minutes of gameplay. You have 3 timeouts. You have the 2-minute warning. You have a defense
Yep.
that they'd struggled in spurts there, especially kind of the early in the second half, but they'd settled in late. Kansas City didn't have a run game with Carson still. I mean, they're banged up, obviously. Put that pressure on Kansas City to move the football, and I get maybe playing from the field position angle. It did work out. They got good field position, just couldn't finish a drive. One of the worst 4th down calls I've seen in a long time. Kirk was moving the ball over the last 2 drives, and they just completely took the ball out of his hand on 3rd and inches or 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, whatever it was. Um, Pretty horrendous effort right there, considering the Falcons lost 2 starting offensive linemen in that game. Um, what are we doing, man? Like, throw the football a little bit. Like, I was
Man.
shocked to see that. You have a chance to take Kansas City down, and you run a
At
split
home.
back, old West Coast offensive style off
Yeah.
tackle sweep. Which, I mean, I love Bijan, and it's a great play by the Chiefs defense, but set your team up for some
Absolutely.
success, man. That was that. I can't imagine that the players in Atlanta were very pumped about that 3rd or 4th down call. Kansas City has an elite run defense. The Falcons has lost 2 offensive linemen. Hey, let's run into the teeth of them back to back times and take the ball out of the quarterback's hands that we paid millions for to come over here and try to kind of somewhat be a difference maker. And so I just start thinking about with Kyle Pitts. Uh, London, Mooney, like Bijan coming out of the backfield. There's a lot more creative ways to find a yard, and
Absolutely.
that had to be rough on them watching film going back because you have a timeout coming back or the 2 minute warning going before the fourth down play, so
Mm-hmm.
you had time to sit and think about something, and they come out and they split back set, and it didn't look good from the jump. It never seemed like it was going to work. But a good football game overall. I mean, exciting Sunday night game. Chiefs battled. Mahomes threw a pick early. I love the games in the domes on Sunday night football, Monday night footballs. I mean, it's just a little bit louder. And then for
Oh
cities
yeah.
like Atlanta, who the Falcons have been in the mud for a while, and they some excitement. You get to hear them when you might not always get to see them or hear them on TV. But overall,
Mm-hmm.
good game.
Yeah, and that stadium is beautiful. I've been in it, not for a football game, for different events. It's just massive, beautiful. I was there when it was being built too. But you have a lot of friends in Georgia. I have a lot of friends from Georgia here near us where we live. Hearts goes out to them, man. It's a tough loss, but like you said, there's just a lot at play here. Chiefs, yes, they got the win. Winners win, losers lose. Excuses, but I'm with you. And even here's my favorite part about that particular call you mentioned. Leading up to it, even the announcers were like, they're not going to sneak it. Kirk's not 100% back from the Achilles, and you don't want to risk it. I'm like, put your
Right.
dang backup in then, and at least make them think you're going to quarterback sneak it, and then do something creative, or just try to sneak it. Tush push it, like go for it, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter,
Break
but you
out
got
the
to do something
wildcat.
different.
Let's get silly.
Somebody did that. I think it was a college game this weekend, and it was like to a tight end or whatever. I was like, let's go, bring back the wildcat, man. Ronnie
I
Brown days.
mean, little things work and go a long ways. It's just point again. You're playing an elite run defense at the highest level of football, and you're like, let's just make it pretty simplistic on you because, like you said, they had limited options. You're not going to use Kirk,
Yeah,
his legs, obviously, and not going to sneak it. It's hard to think about how egregious of a play call that was. Obviously,
I mean,
hindsight's 2020. Something doesn't
sure,
work. It's easy to talk about, but I don't think many people felt good about that one going into the snap. Let's talk about the
no,
Bucks getting absolutely drugged by the Broncos at home. Baker
gosh,
Mayfield struggling a little bit as far as yards per
yeah,
completion. Averaged 4.9 yards completion. He attempted 33 passes, had 25 completions, and threw for 163 yards. That is
yeah,
tough. You don't see that in the NFL a lot. Dinking and dunking at its worst. He did throw a touchdown, also had a pick. But the crazy part was he was sacked 7 times, which talks a little about why he had to get rid of the ball so
mm,
quick under extreme amount of pressure. Definitely felt like a game I thought the Broncos would struggle in. Tampa wins by a touchdown, 10 points. They're favored by 6 in this one. Um,
ooh,
but hey, credit to the Broncos. They showed up. Bo Nix was balling, really good with his legs, 9 for 47 and a touchdown. Didn't turn the ball over through the air. That game shocked you a little bit. A lot of people were kind of high on the Bucks through 2 weeks.
yeah, I was as well. And again, fantasy. So the league that have Jaden as a quarterback, I also have Baker as my other quarterback. So the first week I sat Baker. Second week I sat Baker. Third week I did not sit Baker, which was this week. I still won. So
Funny how that goes.
I yeah, right. So I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, Sean Payton. I actually like him. I know there's controversy, and he's always been that guy, whatever. But I just like him. I like his style, how he coaches. I think he's been through the ringer a little bit. Bo Nix. I'm back and forth on him. Congrats on a win. You're looking like you're playing well. It seems like they're putting some pieces together. So to me, this is more of Bucks probably slept a little bit kind of thing, and the Broncos are putting some stuff together, and you can just look at some of the simple stats, and it's like, yeah, like they look good. I mean, Bo Nix didn't throw a touchdown, ran for one, but as a team, like good team win, and that's what you want. And you're beating a team that was trending upwards, and you were not trending upwards necessarily. So well done. So for the Bucks, I don't know if they should be worried. You're going to lose games. You're going to lose games to bad teams. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. We've talked about that already. Broncos, I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team. Maybe 6 or 7 wins type of thing. I think they're going to pull out some good ones like that. And I think they should be happy about 6 or 7 wins. I think they should be happy about 5 wins. Like that 5 to 7 range for them is going to be good. And I don't think
Yeah,
it's just trashing them. I just think you obviously are rebuilding in some ways. When you got this rookie quarterback, figured out and all this stuff, it's like you kind of got to expect you're going to take a year to figure some stuff out. So that's my thought.
yeah. I
I just think
mean,
good team win.
definitely a good win for them. If you're looking at the box score on that one, you definitely assume that the Broncos would have been the 2-0 team and the Bucks the 0-2 team instead of the vice versa. But Tampa will be fine. Baker's a gamer. They'll recover. I mean, like you said, it could have just been a energy thing. Maybe trying to kind of sleepwalk through that one. These guys are still going to war on Sunday, so they're playing good teams or bad teams. But
Yep.
I'm sure at times you're looking at a particular opponent and it might be like, hey, I might not have to go as hard in this game, which is, obviously learn the hard way and find that out. And I don't know enough to say that was actually the case. We're just talking about the possibilities of how Tampa could get drugged by the old or by the Broncos rather at home. Big shocker there. Speaking of shockers, the Minnesota Vikings are now 3-0. Sam Darnold he's not going crazy, but he's being effective. He only had 181 yards against the Texans, but he had 4 touchdowns. And when you're dragging them for most of that game, you don't really have to throw the ball a lot. Aaron Jones broke 100 yards. Justin Jefferson had a big-time touchdown. CJ Stroud, 25.4 QBR in this one. 20 or 31, 215, had a couple picks with his touchdown that he did throw. Saw a lot of Davis Mills. I just don't think this one at all went the way that most Texans fans thought it would go. Run game very inept, averaged 2.7 yards per carry on the ground. Made things hard. They fell behind early, and a good Minnesota defense was able to kind of sit back and they know the pass is coming. Houston's not doing anything on the ground, so it's kind of key in on the passing game. Did a great job with it, and then I don't know if you watched, but it seemed like anytime the Texans did anything big in this game, penalty. Offense, a ton of penalties. Offensive line in particular, false starts, couple big holding calls.
False starts, man.
Yeah, rough scene there for the Houston offensive line in Minnesota, but yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? I think it's going to be an outlier. Houston should probably be fine. I don't believe they had Joe Mixon in that game, right? Yeah, as Cam Akers was running he had the bulk of the carries with 9. So they're going to have to get that running game, implemented a little bit. But hey, they look bad at the same time. The reason they look bad is because the Vikings made them look that way.
Yeah, and it's very similar to the last game we just talked about with Broncos and Bucks. Similar, like you said. I don't think the Texans have anything to be worried about. I still think they're a good team, but man, the Vikings are looking like a really good team, surprising everybody. Of course, they've had a ton of injuries. If you kind of followed in the preseason, obviously lost a rookie quarterback that had a lot of hype. I actually think that's going to be good. Get some time to develop. Sam Darnold looking good. He's always been, except a few stints there, he's been solid and maybe not above average, but he's been good. Like an Andy Dalton. We can talk about that in a little bit. Like these guys just somehow find a way to look good, and you can't doubt them. And then they get too good, and then it's like, wait a second, okay, now they're coming back to reality. But hats off to the Vikings. Guys looking good. Good team. I love the coach, man, Kevin O'Connell. I just love what's happened and all the injuries that they've overcome or still overcoming. And that's the thing for me. Some of the guys that they've lost that are going to come back, you always wonder, is it going to mess up the chemistry? Are they going to step in and just elevate it even more? What's going to happen when you get like a Hawkinson back? I mean, some of these people, what's going to happen to JJ? Is it just going to take Sam Darnold from, these 300-yard games to 400, which is wild that the NFL passing yardage as a whole and passing touchdowns and all that are down. And you have dudes like Sam Darnold out there slinging it. I mean, 181's nothing, but previous 2 games, of course.
He didn't
So
have to do more though. Big lead. He
exactly.
probably could have thrown for 500 and 250. But if you would have told
True,
Minnesota fans before the season that they would have gone to New York, played San Francisco and Houston at home,
man.
and outscored their opponents. Check this out: outscored their opponents 85-30. There's no way in the world that any of even the most diehard, most optimistic Minnesota fan believes that. That is
No way.
insane. And now,
Yeah.
obviously they smoked New York and Houston. Close game with San Francisco there. Closest game, 6 points. Um, but yeah, big time showdown with them. Come up with Green Bay this week. Get a chance to get 2 games ahead of Green Bay in the North. Obviously
Yep.
the Lions are still over there. The Bears look good as well, but that's a big game because that's an opportunity for them to separate themselves from at least one team in that division and remain unbeaten. And then they get back-to-back home games after that with a bye week in between. So huge game for Minnesota and Green Bay. Always the North is my favorite division
Grind.
in the NFC by a long ways. I just respect the rivalries. Teams have been around for a long time. Um, Something for
Yep.
me about the Packers I just respect and like, and then obviously go Lions. This is not a Lions. Don't read that part. Not a Lions shirt.
Not a
But
well, the Packers, just from the fact of how their ownership is set up, just people get a say and stuff. Like they're just different. And yeah, even if you have polarizing Aaron Rodgers and some of the years they've had and Brett Favre and all that, like they're just one of those teams. It's hard for me to hate them. I don't care what's going on, controversy or not. Like even that, there's not much controversy. So yeah, to your point, man, that North, and then you got the Vikings looking like this. The Vikings are a team that are always average, and so when I see them looking like this with some of the stuff they've gone through and trending well, and they got some cool fans and some traditions, like you love to see it. Like I really just do. And so a 3-0 Vikings team, like keep rolling, guys. I'll root for you unless you play the Cowboys. Then I hope for a good game. I hope both teams have fun. But
so y'all shouldn't see them this year considering they'll be in the playoffs and y'all probably are watching Jaden Daniels at home. But at
dang. Man,
it's
it is looking that
it's
way, but
early.
we'll see.
It is very
A lot of
very
football left.
very very early.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
But
some
I will
surprises out
say,
there. Go ahead.
well, I'll say one thing on that game. What hurts the most for Texans fans, and you're seeing some people talk about this, is with what CJ did last week with Caleb Williams. That and Caleb here and CJ said he's been in the league forever, kind of deal.
Yep.
People are trashing him for that. Like he had a great year, and he has been in the league a year longer, and he's just different. But you go from a week like that where you're trying to give another quarterback advice to just getting wrecked, essentially. Like it's polarizing opposites there, man. Left and right difference, but he'll bounce back. He's good. Like it's just not what you want to see after a week like that. But tough
Yeah, I
loss,
mean that's the
good
thing
win.
though. Like NFL fans get too high, too low off one game. Cowboys fans
Oh,
beat the Browns, and we're
please.
talking we're talking going crazy, and then see I've seen Texans fans absolutely dogging CJ Stroud for that bad game, and I think it's
Yeah.
funny, man. It's you're playing against the absolute best in the world. You're going to lose games. You're
Yep.
going to lose multiple games. There's one fully undefeated team in the sports history, and so like it's
Yep.
just crazy to see the overreactions. The Texans are 2-1, and still, the wheels are falling off, according to some people. The Steelers are 3-0. The
Sure.
Seahawks are 3-0. The Vikings are 3-0. Not sure what the odds on that would have been preseason, but I'm sure quite astronomical,
0.
to be honest.
Not happening.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see if it can. I mean, honestly, a little surprised. Jags 0-3. Obviously surprised by the Bengals being 0-3. Just thought they'd find a way to win one with Burrow. Is there anybody out there that you're watching that you think? Let's do this. Of the 0-3 teams, you're talking Titans, Colts. Is there anyone else that's even 0-3? There's maybe one more. Jaguars. Anybody there? Bengals. Or sorry, Bengals. Bengals,
Bengals.
Jaguars, and who was the third one again? Sorry about that. The Titans.
Titans, you
Anyone do
said?
you
Yeah.
think has a chance to come back from that 0-3 start and make the playoffs? I think obviously it kind of feels like the Bengals would have the best shot, but Jaguars probably have an easier division than the Bengals do. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just looking at it right now, at standings and divisions, and just thinking, man, the Titans, like you're looking at the first pick in the NFL draft the way you're trending. So
They
you're
do
looking at
not
getting
look
another,
good.
like, and any kind of way. I don't. I've watched some of it. I don't know how to be optimistic about it, other than you're being consistent, maybe, and you're giving the rookie a shot still. Or Will Levis, like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about them, and they just don't look good. And for me, again, as a Cowboys fan, you got Tony Pollard. Like, good riddance to you, bro. Hated to lose you, but that's what you get, kind of thing. So the best shot, yeah, honestly, it's got to be the Bengals because you look at their division. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to keep it up. I hope they keep trending well. Like, I love what I'm seeing with Justin Fields and just that resurrection essentially coming out of the Bears. And then who knows what's going to happen with Russ. Cleveland is not looking good in any regards. We'll see what happens there. Baltimore, that's a tough division because two teams going to come out of there. You know, it's looking like two teams, maybe three will come out of the AFC West. You're for sure looking at one out of the AFC South, maybe two out of the East. So
I think the
I
only
think
for
it's going to be a grind.
sure's, the obviously the Bills, I was pretty dominant early start. The Texans will make the playoffs. I really like the Colts defense, but still got a lot to figure out with Anthony Richardson there. Um,
Yeah.
the Chiefs, I mean, the Chiefs are inevitable, it appears. Chargers have enough talent and a pretty dang good head coach now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there is room, for Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, for them to still, another spot or two out of the North. I'm not assuming the Steelers hang on. So I think that division to me is still pretty wide open. I think it's really big for the Bengals that the Ravens have started 1-2 as well. But hey, man, if Fields keeps it
Absolutely.
going, I'm a Fields fan. I just would
For
love to
sure.
see it. We'll see what happens. Um, of the
Yeah.
teams that are 3-0, obviously Bills, Steelers, Chiefs, and then Seahawks, Vikings. Who falls on their face first? Who comes the most back down to earth of those 5 teams?
So there's a part of me that I just harped on the Vikings or hyped them up. There's a part of me that wants to say the Vikings. I don't know though. There's something about them, something about how I feel about them that just says it's not going to be them. Now, I don't think they're going to win 14 games or something. But the way I'll say it is least likely to make the playoffs of the undefeated. I really think the Seahawks. Like, I just looking at it, I am surprised at what Francisco. I know they've had some injuries, but they always have had injuries. We've talked about that. And what was wild is we called the Debo Samuels injury. Poor guy. I'm sorry I cursed you. The week we called him out. The
Yeah,
Rams
literally.
are, I know the Rams are 1-2 as well, but to me, they're a scary 1-2. Like, it's just going to take a flip of a switch. You got Sean McVay. I still think he's a genius. I love Matt Stafford. I love some of the pieces they have. Arizona, again, you've got 3-0, and then everybody else is 1-2 if you're looking at it. So there's going to be a lot of football left to play within that division. I just don't see Seattle even going 3-3 in their divisional games. Like, I just think there's going to be some grinders, and I think they're going to go 2-4, 1-5. So that's a lot of football to lose. So yeah, that's my
Uh,
opinion. I think Seattle, and then number 2 would probably be the Vikings. Just least likely to make the playoffs.
no, I'm about that. I probably would put Seattle at the top of my list on that one, uh, just because I feel like they have a worse supporting skill position talent than the Vikings do. I think Vikings still have some really good talent at wide receiver. Pretty good defense. I just Seattle's plus 30 point differential. I mean, like getting things done. But at the same time, as you kind of mentioned, I think that
Yeah.
they're more than capable of slipping up to the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers when they see them next. And they haven't seen all of those teams twice yet. Obviously, I agree with you there. I'll say this. I'll say Seattle, probably the most likely, but I'd have them followed by Pittsburgh. I just don't like. I like Fields, but I don't trust that he has enough talent around him, and he might not be
Sure.
as developed as he's making strides. Call it how it is. But as more tape gets out on that offense, and they learn how to deal with Fields and to force Justin to beat them, with his arm, I do have questions about whether he can do that or not. They don't have the run game to really give him a ton of support, and plus you have the Ravens and you have the Bengals in that division, who both with bad starts for those teams, who will. I think they step up and play some pretty good football here soon, and they won't go quietly into the playoff night. But it is pretty wild to look through here and see the Vikings and the Seahawks and
Yeah.
Steelers. All three, kind of expected out of the Bills and Chiefs. I won't say expected, but
Sure.
you had a plus 64 point
More
differential for
likely.
Buffalo. They're in there,
Just
whipping
wild.
people around. Is that the most impressive team that you've seen so far through 3 games? I know it's still early, but they do look
Uh,
good. At the same time, they played a Miami team that had the Tua incident, the Tua
yeah.
injury rather go down. But then they made Jacksonville look horrible on Monday Night Football.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Cowboys are still the best team in the NFL, but outside of that, all joking aside, the Bills look good, and I'm just looking through the list. Like, all right, if I don't give the obvious answer of the Bills, who would you pick?
Right.
Chargers, Vikings. I mean, Detroit obviously is 2-1, but they look fine. They don't look amazing. So yeah, I guess it'd be the Saints next, even though they just lost. Like that was a heck of a game, man. Just a grinder. So really fun game to watch if you love defensive stuff.
I think
But
the Saints would have pulled that one out without the O line injury. Bad time to
yeah,
have
I know.
a big O line injury against that defensive line of the Eagles. Yeah, I'm just trying to agree with you there. I think the Saints look dang good, man.
Yeah,
There's no way around that.
that's a good game. But yeah, so for sure, I think I don't even know if it's the easy answer, honestly, because there are some great teams, but I think you got to say the Bills definitely look the best. Just the moxie from Allen. I mean, the team, DeMar Hamlin getting that interception, like that's a big moment. Just some of these things, it's like, all right, like you don't have in Keon Coleman. I mean, dude's looking pretty good. Like you
Yeah,
don't
I'd
have a
like to
lot
see
of.
him get more targets, but
I agree. Yeah, I think he's a dog, and I think he deserves it. I think he'll get it. I'm surprised with how some of their distribution, I guess, is playing out. I mean that in a good way, like nothing negative. I didn't for fantasy. I didn't get anybody from the team intentionally because I just wasn't sure how it was going to play out. Now I kind of regret it, but it is what it is. But that just are playing well. Again, kind of similar to the Vikings. Like they're just solid all the way around. Everybody has weaknesses, but they just look good. They look like a team that can carry this out. Josh Allen is just who he is. He just seems to be relaxed all the time. Defense is playing well. Like they just are doing what they're supposed to do. They're not going to go undefeated. They're going to lose to somebody, and people are going to freak out, of course. Like you said, it's week to week in the NFL. People are wild and dumb. But, man, yeah, and I like the Bills. A lot of history there. I like Josh Allen. I like just the team. And the Patriots, not going to do anything. Dolphins, unfortunately, they might fight for a playoff spot. Don't look like it. And I just don't think the Jets, everybody was hyping them up. I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. Like, maybe. So the Bills, like, roll with it. You've got 5 more games in your division left. They could easily go 5-0 in those games. Like, then you're looking at, well, of course they're not in a row, but you're looking at 8 wins then. And so then you're talking 2 more would probably win that division. And they're probably going to get 4 to 6 more wins. Like they're looking good. And then next week we'll come in here and say they're looking like trash just because it's a new week. But yeah, the
Yep,
Bills
that's
look good. Uh, I like the Saints. That's my number 2 pick. Of course, I hate saying that because they just destroyed my Cowboys. But man, I'm Kamara, Derek Carr, like what they're doing, Dennis Allen, just overall. Again, similar, yeah, tough loss to the Eagles. And I really don't think the Eagles should have won that game. I'm not worried about them as a Cowboys fan, like truly. Yes, they have a better record and whatever, but I'm not worried about the Eagles. I think, yeah, like just not. I just don't think they look that good. So there's just too many personalities, and yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be some tough games. We'll probably go 1-1 against them. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
man, long ways to go, buddy. 2 weeks ago, you were
No,
telling me you were winning 14 games, so you careful, man. I will say
ask me
this: this
next
is
week how I
a
feel.
fair enough. We'll be back at 14 after we pulverize
That's
the old
right.
Giants.
That's right.
Let me say this: you got some really fun games this weekend as far as rivalries go, and then just big matchups. You have Dallas at New York, obviously tonight. You have New Orleans at Atlanta on Sunday. Chance for Atlanta to get right there. We'll see though. But a fun rivalry with the Falcons and the Saints. That's always a good one with the fans. Minnesota at Green Bay, huge game for Green Bay. Can tie themselves up with Minnesota there at 3-1 with a win. Malik Willis showed out against Tennessee. Kind of showed them what they let go essentially,
Man.
and not playing
So
that
the
man.
Saints, real quick, I gotta say this because this blows my mind. I think it's 100% true. Now, if you've seen this floating around, the Saints start off hot, looking good, 2-0, just destroying people. They went 18 days without a murder in the city,
Holy
and then they
heck.
lost, and there was a murder like that day or the next day. I don't remember. And people
This
were
got
legitimately like,
serious.
bro, like, no, what I'm this is funny how serious like just football is. People are saying it's because the Saints are playing well. People are just chill basically. And like, all right, true or not, I don't know, but there is definitely a correlation there. Causation, whatever you want to say. Saints are looking good, nobody gets murdered, and then they lose and there's a murder. Like, come on.
It could correlate a little bit.
So we need
Hopefully,
the
Saints
Saints to
win
keep
this
winning.
weekend.
That's right. That's what I'm here to say. Drink to that. So,
You
man,
got Buffalo at
but
Baltimore, the Sunday night game. That's should be an
I'm gonna be
elite
glued to my
few
TV for that
hours.
one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Monday night, you're talking about the 3-0 Seattle Seahawks. They traveled to Detroit, so that'll be the first, big time maybe pressure test for Seattle is for 3-0. But then again, it's a week to week league. They can afford a loss, obviously, and still do big things. But yeah, fun week
But
overall. A
Detroit
lot of
will
good
win that one.
games. Yes, Detroit will win that game, in my opinion. But the spread on it's only 3.5, man. So it's it seems a little
It's
low,
normal.
to be honest. Um, kind of thought Detroit might be a 5 or 6 point favorite there. I know it's the NFL. You don't see the big spreads all the time, but hey, you have Kansas City traveling to Los Angeles this weekend and the Chargers, and they're a 7.5 point favorite. San Francisco's a 10.5 point favorite. Just a little surprised by that.
Hmm.
But we'll see. I will say this. I think I'm going to make the call. The Jets. I think the Jets are about to get a little hot. Had a rough start to the season there
Ooh.
with San Fran. Easy games with
Okay.
Tennessee. Not an easy win with Tennessee, but had Tennessee, had New England, two opponents. You look at those and you're like, yeah, we need to beat them if we have any chance at the playoffs. They got Denver at home. They've got Minnesota at home. Going to have the Jets going 4-1, heading into a massive Week
Man.
6 matchup with Buffalo. Feel pretty good about that.
Hmm.
And then even after that, I like this a lot. Um, they've got Pittsburgh, they've got New England, they've got Houston, who is at home, and then looking through the back half of the schedule, it's Buffalo that stands out, and nothing else whatsoever. Shouting out the Jets. I did had that post about my neighbor and his family this morning. A massive Jets family. All five of them. I drop off my daughter over there at their house the other day for a hangout or sleepover. It's like 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. All five folks in the family wearing Jets jerseys, and like we're in Texas, man. You don't see that obviously. So definitely kept my eye on the Jets a little bit just for him because we talk about him a lot. But I was looking at that schedule earlier and I was like, all right, my buddy might have a really good fall coming up right here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
definitely cool. And yeah, I mean, a fun week. You got any other games or any other comments about last week or the upcoming week that you'd like to make?
Look, man, we dip into college a little bit sometimes, and if you're in the Twitter world, or excuse me, X, it's forever Twitter in my mind. You see some of the crazy stuff that people are saying they're going to do with losses and wins and whatever. Like, we need to start seeing some burrito and dog doo doo promises for NFL games. We need people to start taking this serious, man. Like, come on, let's have some more fun with
Hey,
it.
the
It's
burrito thing is happening though. The burrito, there is a
Saturday, I
date
think, right?
set. Yeah, Saturday. He said he's not going to allow Kansas State football to be cursed. I don't know if I want to find out details on that whole situation. I will say this: I
Yeah,
said last night on the show that if the Houston Astros win the World Series, I will complete the 24-hour Waffle House punishment or challenge, whatever, where I must sit inside of Waffle House for 24 hours straight. Every waffle that I eat removes 1 hour from my time served there.
oh, let's go. Look, I'll go on record right now. My wife will never see this, so who cares? I'll do that with you. As an Astros fan, if they win, I'll do that with you as
Thank
celebration.
God, man, because I was just saying it out of kind of like spite yesterday, and now I'm like, God, that would be miserable. But
Oh
I
yeah.
I like the Yankees. I like the Yankees in the AL this year. Literally anyone that's not Houston will work. But so yeah, I appreciate that as an Astros fan that you would do that with me because I definitely have a lot of worry about it.
Anytime.
As soon as I said it, I was like, I love Waffle House, but that's a lot of pain,
That's
man.
that's a lot of food. So back to NFL though, but yeah, I'll ride with you on that one. So tonight, obviously, we're playing. My prediction. I think I really think we're gonna win. Well, we better win. Let me just clarify that. It's gonna be a tough night if we don't, and then a tough day tomorrow. I think it's gonna be like a 35-20 type of game, in my opinion. I think we'll see
Tonight?
the two tonight. I would say take the
Okay,
two
okay,
touchdown bet from Dak. We might see like three. I think we might have a touchdown from Zeke. I really do. I think he's due
okay.
for a good game. I think we're talking he needs to bust it for like 70 yards, which is wild because we used to talk 100 plus for Zeke, and now we're down to 70 is a good game.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Still
NFL
waiting
running backs
for
have short
Dalvin
shelf
Cook.
lives.
I know. I still want to see Dalvin Cook come to life and see. They haven't even activated him yet. So that's my thought 35-20. Dak with three, CD with one, Zeke with one. And then I think we're going to see two picks from the defense, two sacks from Micah. I'm talking a solid game.
Could see it. I mean, it's hard to imagine the Giants putting up 20 points on anybody, but they did it last week in the win with Cleveland. And it all happened kind of fast there in the second quarter. Some Cleveland
Yep.
mishaps led to it, but 35 points gets you a comfortable victory in this one, in my opinion. If y'all can, y'all score up there, you win, you cover the spread. Um, it would probably
Yep.
feel a lot better for you boys fans after a couple of hard weeks. But hey, New York's coming off a win after starting 0-2. Everybody kind of had written Daniel Jones off and left him for
Good
dead.
times.
But at the same time, they beat the Cleveland Browns. So let's pump the brakes, look at it how it is, and big test
Yeah.
for the Giants tonight. Throw themselves right back into the division race with a win. A loss, it starts to get pretty bleak as far as that. But hey, they might be waiting for Quinn, tanking for Quinn. So seen some tweets.
Poor guy.
But well, all right, guys,
Man.
thank you for being here. We ran this just on YouTube, so I'm not going to make the traditional, hop into my profile on X and do that whole follow thing. But for you guys seeing this, please like this video, show Jonathan some love, subscribe to the channel. We'll have an NFL show or segment once a week. Plenty of college stuff coming on. Got a lot of fun things planned. Very, very excited for the next couple of weeks on this channel. Thanks for being a part of it. Y'all all have a good night. Jonathan, tell them about it for us, brother, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, we them boys. Go Cowboys.
We'll see. A big game tonight. Good luck, all the
Yeah.
Cowboys, Texans, Saints fans out there. I mean it for two of the three of y'all. Y'all